Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope you can hear me. It seems that I couldn't hear any of the music that was playing. So please let me know in the chat if you can hear me or not. It can make a big difference. And if we're having an issue here. I hope that you guys are getting all ready for Super Bowl and having fun doing it. I appreciate you spending the time with me today because I do know that Super Bowl Sunday, loud and clear. Oh, good. Phew. I was getting nervous there for a minute. We do have a special guest coming on. He's just getting set up now. You guys I've had him on the show before. His name is Javier Vidana, and he and I are in the same YouTube circles, and he's always a pleasure to have on as a guest. He's a real estate agent out of Phoenix, Arizona. When we're doing our conversation today, I would love for you guys to go ahead and put the word question first, because the chat does go really quickly, and I don't want to miss anybody's important questions they want answered. Secondly of all, I have some really big news for everybody. So there's a company, it's called Foreclosure.com, and they have asked me, they've been asking me to go check out their website for quite some time. And I'm like, whatever, you can find foreclosures on any website. Why would I do this? And they said, well, no, we literally have every foreclosure in the United States that people can find where you don't find them on the MLS or on Zillow. I'm like, you're full of poop. I really thought they were full of garbage. So I went ahead and did their little 7-day free trial. And sure enough, I found a property for an investor of mine. So then I got really curious. So I said, okay, I'll go ahead and bite and I'll talk to them about it. Well, they have this thing where it's a monthly fee after 7 days of $39.95, which I thought was literally the dumbest cost you charge somebody to use a service. $39.95. I'm like, we're not Walmart, we're not Target. Everybody knows $39.95 is $40. I'm like, you're gonna have to round this off. So they gave me a special affiliate code just for you guys. Nobody else has this, of $35 even. None of that 95 nonsense. And I have it in the description of this video. So you can sign up. It is an affiliate link. I do get a small portion, but I just wanted to let you know that that is available if you're looking for foreclosures. It is true. They do have more foreclosures than you would find on typical sites like the MLS and Zillow and all those other places. So if you've seen the news recently about the changes, and I want to tell everybody else about this. Last week, I talked about Jenna Ryan for a small period of time. Do you know who she is?
No.
Okay.
So Jenna, real quick though.
Yeah, Jenna Ryan was a real estate agent that was posting all sorts of stuff during the insurrection while she was in the Capitol.
Oh, yeah.
She did not get fired, and she can't get fired because it doesn't break the rules of being a real estate agent. She was not working as the capacity of a real estate agent when she did that. Now, if she gets convicted of a felony, yes, she can be stripped from being a real estate agent, but technically she can't lose it. But Eddie, throw up that graphic okay. So according to this article, scroll down just a bit, Eddie. There are 1.4 million members, and they are now changing the rules. They're adding to Article 10. I don't know what Eddie's doing, but according to Article 10, they can now scrub your social media sites. And if you are making racist, homophobic, xenophobic, those kinds of comments in your private social media posts, they can get after you. And a lot of people were having a hard time with this. And my comment to all of this is a super easy thing to follow. Don't be a homophobic, racist jerk. I said a-hole on the post, and you won't have any problem. I don't see what the big issue is.
Do you mind if I wear my new glasses here?
Let's see them. Oh, ooh. Is that is it the blue pill or the red pill glasses?
Oh, exactly. Like, I can do this if you want.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. Keep going.
So what do you think? Do you think this was a good move on the National Association of Realtors' part? Or do you think this was
going to be interesting? My initial, you sent me the article yesterday, and in true fashion, I read it like 20 minutes ago on the way as I was driving. So this is very interesting because I've always been a big advocate, or at least I've always said that you want to find the most just unprofessional, all those things you said, people. It's real estate agents. Like the way they act in public and the way they act in their personal Facebook is completely something different. So I find it very fascinating that there's going to be something now holding us accountable. Although I am concerned because basically whoever's in charge gets to dictate what's not okay. So I feel like there needs to be someone of no bias that's just in the middle that just states, hey, if you're representing us in the correct way, then that matters, not necessarily where your political affiliation lies, if that makes sense.
When anything like this ever happens, there's always a knee-jerk reaction. And then the people that are on whatever side are either really mad or really glad. But then over time, as these rules get in place and start happening, it always seems that all of a sudden it isn't so great anymore because people that shouldn't have gotten in trouble get in trouble. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, honestly, again, it's easy for me. I never I post kids, my kids' pictures and baseball cards and silly stuff like that. I never talk about religion or politics, and nobody should anyways. If you're a real estate agent, if you're really asking for it, in my opinion. So
for sure, I agree with you. And I mean, I have my own personal opinions on what her views are and what she did, but at the end of the day, she has the right to say anything. Now, as long as she's not hurting anybody. And, if you're racist, then you'll get racist clientele, just make sure you're not there's no hate. I don't want to say racist is being hateful, but, as long as there's no hateful rhetoric, I think you should be held accountable if you do say some hateful things. But I don't think you should be held accountable if your political affiliation lies somewhere.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, and I understand people like to share what they believe and they should be able to share whatever they believe, but there is consequences to what you believe sometimes if it incites violence or it calls for, the death of somebody or anything like that. So
for sure.
I can see where it all came from, but I think it's a very slippery slope because, even though like social media is not so new, it's still very, very new. So all the things that we lay down now can have consequences for years to come. So I just think they should really think about what they do and who they put in charge of that and how they should handle it. But that's just me.
Interesting topic, by the way.
Yeah, I definitely think though that it gives people thinking and before they post. I think you should be able to post whatever you want. That way you can decide if that's somebody you want to work with. If that's what they want to post, let them have at it.
What do you think about this? I had somebody on my brokerage Facebook page say that during the election, they asked the agent who they voted for during a text message, and the agent decided not to disclose, it's private. And then the day after said, hey, you know what? We're going to cancel a yard with you. We're going with another agent. So what do you think when that happens on the client side? Do you think they have the right to do that? I mean, they do, of course, but what's your take on that?
I think a client is in control. So it stinks. The client's in control, but they have the right to go, you know what? I'm not working with you. And I'm sure you've gotten emails like this too, that people have worked with a real estate agent that they are totally frustrated with and they don't know how to get rid of them because they're in the middle of a contract. If you're in that situation, contact that agent's broker. Contact that agent's broker because either the broker will have you work with somebody else in the office or the broker themselves will work with you. So that way you can get through the transaction and be done with it. The broker doesn't want to lose you as a client. The broker doesn't want you to be upset with them as a company. So it behooves them to try to work with you in your best interest. So
for sure. Yeah, you always have the power.
You have the power. You have the power. So this was an interesting comment. I understand realtors in describing a home in an ad can no longer say non-smoker or white kitchen, for example, is getting out of hand.
I didn't hear about that.
Me either. We can write non-smoking home. We can write that in our MLS. Now we can't write master bedroom. That is one thing that was taken out was the word master. We now call it the main bedroom. And sometimes, as I'm speaking, I have to catch myself. It's not a big deal. It's just one word,
I think it's. I mean, yeah.
You look like a watchmaker right now. Like,
I know. I'm analyzing everything.
Oh, you can't say starter home either, because everybody's idea of a starter home is completely different. That is true. This is one. My starter home jumped from 150 to 250 in nominal value in 8 years, not a bubble.
Well, 8 years is I mean, we were in an extremely healing market, so that doesn't sound too crazy. I think it sounds more crazy when it's like 40,000 in a year, but 100,000 over 8 years sounds pretty reasonable to me, especially if you're in an area that's been growing a lot.
My whole concern and with all of this is that people keep emailing me and asking me, is now the right time to buy? And it's like,
I've never heard that one. I'm just kidding.
liar. I know you're a liar.
When I'm on live and people go, "Hey, should I buy now or when is the market going to crash?" I go, "Okay, if I figured out the time machine sometime in the future, I'm probably going to pop up now." And okay, so it looks like I didn't pop up. I haven't figured out the time machine, so I have no idea where or when it's going to happen, right? So people don't they think that we're like connected in the matrix and we know what's going to happen. Another matrix reference. Look at that, two of them in a row. But we just have no idea.
And I will say this, we're talking real estate throughout the country, but every single micro market is going to be totally different. Like, you can even go from one county to the next county, and their real estate market is completely different than the one, the previous one. So you do want to talk to a real estate agent in your local area, because they're going to know the best and know the most about that specific market. You want to get them to pull up numbers too. How much did it go down when the last crash happened? How much has it gone up in the last 6 months? How much was it a year ago at this time? And then you can balance out those factors to see if this is a great time for you to buy in that specific neighborhood. Every situation is going to be completely different. In some cases, you're going to say, absolutely not. It's overinflated. In many areas, it is. But in other areas, it might be just fine. Because even if the interest rates go up and the prices go down, you're still going to break even and you're not paying as much to the bank because you have a low interest rate. So just make sure you speak with your local real estate agent. You want to add anything to that, mister?
Speak with somebody that doesn't need your business. That's how you get the truth. If you talk to someone who's desperate for your business, they're going to be like, "Oh, yes, perfect time to buy. Buy now." Speak to somebody who's just like, they're doing just fine. They'll be like, "Yeah, this is what I think," because they have no incentive to convert you. I mean, that's what I kind of, there's when you have that liberty, you can speak the truth. And that honesty, people go, "Oh, you're so honest." Well, that's right. If I wasn't so comfortable, and I'm sure there's a lot of realtors out there, they try to hustle. So that's the only thing I get to add.
I agree. 100%. And that's one of the things that bothers me more than anything
I don't
is
know why
that
Kristina invited me. We just agree on everything. We're just going to be like, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right." Okay.
well, I feel like we are a different breed when it comes to real estate agents
Whoa,
because
whoa.
of the
Did you just
fact.
say different breed? Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm just kidding. NAR, report her.
Well, I don't know. I feel like that, and I know, and the people that know that when you see a lot of things on Facebook about that real estate agents post, it doesn't even make sense. You're like, wait a minute, I heard this. How is that? Why is this so great? Well, it's great because they're making a lot of checks.
Company sending them something to post on their social media. So it's not
Yeah.
even, yeah.
All right, so this is a great question. How do buyers know if they're being taken advantage of by a seller? Are there any red flags? I'm going to give you 2 of my red flags. One of them is they're not going to let you have an inspection period for their house. They're saying, nope, no inspection period. Nope. And a 2 is if they do not have a properly filled out property disclosure. That's just kind of sort of filled in. They've lived there for 13 years, but they said they have no knowledge of the hot water heater or the air conditioning unit. That's a red flag. What would you say, Javier?
Well, there's smoke, there's fire. I actually was in a situation recently where seller didn't want to give the disclosure. We did our inspection. They didn't have the power on, even after they say they were. I approached them, "Hey, you didn't turn on the power," and they said, "Oh no, we're not going to turn it on. I'll escrow. It's as is, right?" So it could be just they're being lazy. It could be that, this house is maybe still worth it, even though after, maybe it's still be fine, but maybe they're hiding something, right? So that's why you have an out in the inspection period. Use it. If you smell smoke, talk to your realtor. Hey, what do you think is going on? Sometimes people are too paranoid. They're like, hey, why are you trying to do this? So talk to the one you trust first. But usually where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah, I will say that I feel like the sellers have gotten extremely cocky recently. I've had deals that, they know that people are going to offer over and they know that their house isn't worth it. So they're like, if it doesn't appraise, it doesn't matter. You're going to give me the cash. And, in our market isn't as, strong as other markets where they're like, they'll walk away. I mean, we've had some sellers that are like, the girl had an FHA loan. She had an appraisal done. It didn't appraise for the amount. And the seller was like, well, I'll just put it back on the market. And I said, well, the problem is you got an FHA appraisal. So that FHA appraisal is going to stay with that house for 6 months. And she goes, I'll just wait 6 months and I'll sell it for more then. And I'm like, so you're going to sit there with your vacant house for 6 months and pay all that? I said, the amount of money that you would have paid in your mortgage is the same amount of money that you'd be reducing. You're really not winning on this. But my girl needed this house. She already turned in her lease. So there I am giving up commission. She's scraping her 401k. She's asking her parents for money. Like, we all pitched in for this one little twit, this one little evil seller. What an awful little woman she was.
They if they know their position, they'll play it. I've had multiple people cancel because of that, because they know that they go back on the market and they don't care, right?
Yep.
Sucks.
A question. I saw a lot of YouTubers saying don't buy a house, but it makes sense. The prices will continue to go up due to inflation.
Yeah, Smallhorn, I noticed that that's a trend right now. A few of the top ones are making videos like reasons why you shouldn't buy a house, which I mean, as a YouTuber, you're thinking the same thing right now too. You click that video and that's just the clickbait. They're gonna talk about the benefits and the cons of buying a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about this little trend going on? I think it started maybe a few weeks ago.
I think that everybody has to do their thing to get somebody to click on a video.
Yeah.
And I would just say, with watching any YouTuber, even myself and Javier, who are experienced, you have to consult with a financial advisor if you're concerned about a money aspect of it. If you're running tight with money, you're going to have to consult a local real estate agent if it's the time to buy in your area. And I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket because you heard me or even Javier say something that made you afraid. We don't have the numbers in front of us. So we can't tell you exactly what to do. Only people that can see what your personal situation is. So I would just say, like, hold up before you take anybody's advice. Talk to someone specifically. I like videos just like everybody else. We try to give out the best information as possible, but that doesn't mean it's written in stone. So you should really contact somebody local.
It reminds you of what I told my son. He's playing sports right now. Like, you have to practice for practice, right? So when he's at practice, he has to practice on his own too. So if you were to kind of use that analogy, we're essentially helping you, practice and understand the basics and the fundamentals. So that way, when you're out there either playing your game, whatever, the game of buying a house, to your coach, you look a lot more experienced. You look like you have an advantage to others, but really it's because you were doing the work when no one else was. So that's the way I kind of picture it in my brain.
There was this saying that says, like, practice makes perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, and then it goes backwards.
I ruined it for you. Sorry.
That's okay. You're allowed to do that.
Look at this trophy. I got it from my wife's family. Do you think it meets? But no.
Most extra. I was thinking most salty.
It could have gone both ways.
I think you needed to have the most salty. All right. Boiled Nut says, Kristina and Javier, question. After buying or trying to refinance your home, value drops. Is there a chance for PMI will be a concern?
Why'd your value drop after you buy? How do you know that?
Well, I don't. You weren't here for 2007, right? So a lot of.
But there's like, did she get a CMA or did she get what happened?
It's exactly? A he. He's a channel member.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, it won't change your PMI. Sometimes it adds PMI to your loan because the value drops so much, but I don't believe it changes the terms of your PMI.
Yep.
Yep. All right,
Yep.
here's another question.
King of the hill.
Question: Utah market is smoking hot. 400,000 K in expensive last year. I find it expensive. Last year goes for 550K. By the way, is there any early signs to understand the direction of home prices?
Oh man. What I would say is you have to use common sense here. So, like, let me explain my city. I live in Phoenix. There's a lot of people moving here. A lot of people with a lot of money. A lot of people with good paying jobs that are out of state. They're coming in with huge down payments. A lot of small businesses. A lot of companies moving here, right? So in my opinion, that means if you use common sense, hey, Phoenix is probably going to stay expensive. This is just going to be a more expensive place to live. We're probably not going to dip. If we do, very slight. But if we do dip, then there's so many buyers that it's just going to take over. You have to kind of analyze your own town and city and kind of figure out if that's going to, you think, you trust your gut. You're smart. You're just as smart as me or her. Just, you can kind of analyze it.
I will tell you one of those visual things that made me know before I was even a real estate agent, the market was going bad. I was in Florida and they would have open houses. And this is when, just like now, people were literally lined up down the street for an open house to go look at, inside, and people would get, 20, 30, 40 offers at the end of the day. One weekend, it was just like a snap of the finger. There's all these signs up around these neighborhoods, open house, and there was nobody standing outside to put in an offer. And that's the moment I looked at my husband and said, we need to sell. I don't care where we move, but let's get out of the state, because I knew our house was overinflated exponentially. We had bought it for 135. Within 3 years, it was now 285,000, which
Wow.
was stupid. I'm like, I wouldn't pay that for this house. There's no way. There's no way. And he's like, okay. So he goes and gets a job in another state. That's how we ended up in Louisiana. And we put our house on the market. We had ended up selling it for 250, and everybody's like, you took a bath on that house. That same guy buys our house, like that bought our house for, 250 or whatever. He goes and sells it 8 years later for 185,000.
Ouch.
Oh, I felt so bad. I felt like I did something wrong. But the warning signs are visual. If you see more for sale signs sitting out in everybody's neighborhood that you're like, wait a minute, a month ago, that would have sold just like that. Why is it not selling? You can physically see it. You don't have to jump on a computer. But you can also get with a real estate agent that you're friends with and ask them to be on like a updated mailing list, and they will tell you how many houses have sold in your area. You can see how many haven't sold in your area, how many are pending, how many are contingent. That's a great indication of what's going on day by day. So that's something you should look into. Who else has got a question here? Because Eddie took off.
Come on, Eddie, where you at?
I know, like he must have had to go to the bathroom. Oh, did you see that? I got in with with foreclosure.com.
Oh, I haven't seen it. But you told me about it earlier, right? I think
Yeah.
a week ago.
So a lot of my people are looking for foreclosures. A lot of people that are looking for those first time home buying type of help, and they're looking on HUD.com, which is an excellent source to find foreclosed properties. And they kind of fix them up a little bit, and they do tell you what's wrong with the house. So HUD, you can always check with HUD Homes. Make sure you find a HUD approved real estate agent, because not all of them are. And there's a special way you have to do their program. So they have to be signed up with HUD. But there's another website called foreclosure.com, and they had this like stupid deal that it costs $39.95 to join the thing after 7 days. And I'm like, $39.95, what is this, Walmart? I'm not doing it unless it's $35 for a month. And they did it for me. So there's an affiliate link if you guys are looking for foreclosure properties. But I did like a full investigation, because I was like, there's no way that I'm going to even offer this to people unless they really have actual foreclosures on there that they can't find anywhere else. And sure enough, I found a property for an investor of mine. So it was like, and that wasn't on our MLS. So I felt like a genius. I was like, I really look good to my investor, and I got him a great deal, which it's on a huge piece of property too. Huge. Someone throwing up a question. Oh, here he is. Who helps buyers find grants? Mortgage consultant, realtors, or are buyers on their own?
Want me to answer this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think a lot of people sometimes confuse grant and first-time homebuyer program. They think they're two different things. Maybe
Mhm.
you're used to maybe college grants, right? You have to apply for them. Maybe if you're part of a school district, you have to apply for grants. And for buying a house, I mean, it's part of the same thing, right? So the same mortgage person helping you qualify is going to help you qualify for any programs, any grants. There's just another marketing term used to catch your attention. Grant is a down payment assistance program. At the end of the day, wherever the money comes from, look more into what the cons of it is going to be, and really evaluate if it's worth doing. But yeah, no, it's just a common term that's mixed up with the first-time home buyer programs.
Right. And you can always check with your real estate agent to know what first-time home buyer programs they have. In each state's going to have something a little bit different. Sometimes they have one for the state, sometimes they have a federal one. Speaking of that, Eddie, pull up that thing that was coming out from Biden, and I want to get your opinion about this, because this stirred up a lot of conversation on the old Facebook last night. It's
Your
the next.
personal Facebook?
Oh, you know what? I have it here. Yeah, I occasionally go on Facebook late at night where there's not a lot of people. Here it is. So Biden is proposing a $15,000 first-time home buyer tax credit, which could accessed immediately by the buyer, therefore serving as a down payment assistance. High home prices, along with strict lending standards, have made it difficult for young buyers to come up with the cash needed to secure a mortgage. So they did this in 2008, 9, 10 in that area. But the difference was at that time was there wasn't enough buyers for as many houses that are for sale. This is the reverse situation. We do not have enough supply for the demand of people that want houses, especially first-time home buyers, because the prices have gone up exponentially. So you're going to give $15,000 to people, what in turn, in my opinion, is just going to make those first-time home buying buyers homes even more expensive, because it's just going to drive up the price. And I don't think it's a good idea. Not at this time. I don't think we need that. I don't think we're ready for that. What is your
I don't think it's going to happen. I think if you're looking forward to some kind of program, you need to reevaluate. And I literally just answered a comment right before I got on. They were like, "You're wrong. There needs to be programs like this because, or else people wouldn't be able to buy houses or whatever, right?" And I corrected them. I said I disagree. I think in this market, you shouldn't be buying if you're depending on someone else's help. Sure, once the market hopefully calms down, then 100% they're good. But I don't. It's like the example I use in my video is it's like bringing a taco truck to my house. Like I don't need to get fatter. There's already a problem here. More tacos isn't going to help. As much as I'd love it and people think they want it, this is you're overstimulating something that's been overstimulated already.
Yeah. I think it's a nightmare scenario. I mean, it's literally to me, all you're going to do is drive up the least expensive homes even more to make it more unaffordable for first-time home buyers. I think it's a recipe for
Like someone's
disaster.
asking, can I qualify for a $50,000 first time home buyer if I just sold my home? It's like, why? You just sold your house. You're gonna have equity. Get a low interest rate.
Right. You're right. Um, Rose, I gotcha. You asked it 8 times. I gotcha.
That happens too on my chat. Well, my mod's kind of just auto ban if that happens. But yeah,
All right. So can FHA a foreclosure? Is there anything you recommend a first-time home buyer do towards finding a foreclosure? You can work with an agent that is very familiar with foreclosures. There's lots of real estate agents that just literally their whole brokerage is only foreclosures. So they'll know about the paperwork that's involved and everything else, and they'll be able to find foreclosures. You can also look to see if there's any short sales in the area, which are always kind of fun. There's a lot more paperwork involved when it comes to buying a short sale. And even though they say it's a short sale, the length of time before it closes is a lot longer. It can take as little as 45 days. It can take as little as months down the road. So just know there's nothing short about a short sale when it comes to the time of closing. What do you have to say about that?
What was the question again? I read a comment right now and it threw me off.
Your brain's like Swiss cheese.
No, yeah,
I was talking about foreclosures. He wanted to know.
Yeah, but when I got into the business in the 2010s, there's nothing but foreclosures and short sales. So if Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac posted their own listings, it would go for any kind of financing. Right now in Phoenix, there's not very many foreclosures or anything like that happening. So the only foreclosures we have are auction properties. And as far as I know, for auction properties, you have to have cash or some kind of funding, right? Immediate funding. But I'm sure, I don't know, other markets, there's more Fannie Mae listings or Freddie Mac, HUD, sometimes accept FHA, stuff like that. But here we don't have a lot of them, so I wouldn't be able to say.
Well, I will say one good thing about a HUD foreclosure, even when it's a brand new on the listing, you're thinking, oh no, there's no way I'm going to beat out a investor. The thing is with HUD is they give a window. They give it like a 10-day window that they allow for just the regular home buyer to buy it before even the investors get a hold of it. And if
that's true, I forgot about that.
Yeah, within that 10-day window, if they don't get any offers, then they open it up to investors. But they prefer to give it to a single family, willing to, buy it. They don't want to give it to investors. They would rather, just the regular average Joe to buy their foreclosed properties. They want to
forgot about that. I remember when I joined the business I did like 10 transactions a year, but they were almost all short sales in HUD homes. That's all it was.
This is a great time to sell. Yeah, it is. You don't even have to do anything, and I've noticed, I will say this is much better than it had been in years past with this kind of housing market, because years past, when the housing market was terrible, the agents did as little as possible. They were taking pictures with their cell phone. They weren't investing in really good quality photos or videos. I was like, what are you guys doing? Are you even trying to sell it? This is the time that you want to invest as much as you can into getting these houses sold. But I realize now that they sell fast, but people are they're really putting in all the legwork and effort, I guess, because they want to show their portfolio of what they do for their clients, even in a hot market, which is a good thing.
Our value somehow. We get overpaid as it is.
According to who?
Oh, that's true.
According to who?
Are you threatened by Redfin and all these companies that are providing instant showings? Not necessarily just people can access it, but they have an army of agents ready to be sent to a showing any given minute.
No,
not you personally, but maybe what's your opinion on the real estate business and the weaker agents? What do you think is going to happen to them?
I just think, just like anything, competition is good. It will weed out the ones that aren't willing to do the job that is required of us. But I also know for a fact that when you work with agents in that type of brokerage, the level of service goes down quite a bit. So the ones that suck as real estate agents that weren't in it for the right reason, that they were just money hungry, terrible people that, like they didn't get leads sent to them every 5 minutes. Those agents are going to be gone, which is good. It's a good thing. And just know that when you're hired that type of agent, they work on a salary. So their level of service is going to be not the same as someone that's working as a commission base, because we don't get paid until the house closes. So if we've been working with you for 10 months and has showed you 107 different houses, we don't get one penny, not one red penny, until that day that house closes. So I think it's a good thing. I don't, every time somebody whines about, oh, Zillow's going to be a brokerage now. Who cares? Like, who cares? You can't depend on these big companies like realtor.com and zillow.com to make your business. Your business is you. You have to offer a service that makes people come back. That's on you. You can't blame the other guy.
Well said.
Thank you. Oh, see, look at Foil Nuts is looking out for me. He says, if you have a question, start with your question, the comment with a question in big caps. He's right. He's right. Let's see if I can find one in here. Eddie, can you do you Oh, here we go. I have this is a nice thing. Kristina, you help
You
my
have
husband.
400 people here right now. That's crazy.
I know. It's because you're on here, honestly.
No, I think it's Super Bowl. I thought we were gonna get no one here, but I think it was a perfect idea to do right before it.
Yeah, give something to talk about. And the thing is that people are genuinely asking the question, should I buy a house right now? And they're genuinely scared. Like I had this girl reach out to me via email over I even called her. She was going to buy a condo and she didn't know if she was making the right decision. And so I helped her with that decision. I mean, I'm not her real estate agent, but I helped her understand. The thing is that she's going to buy this condo. It's less than her rent is now. It's in a, it's in a neighborhood that has it's an older neighborhood with a lot of older people living there. I'm like, you're a young person. That's good that you have a lot of older people that are probably retired that can look out for your property, your best interest. Granted, they'll probably be up in your business, but it's a good thing to have that. If it's less than rent, then that's good. And I said, then contact your real estate agent and ask for comparables to see how much it's gone down and gone up in the last, 10 years. And they should be able to read that comparison to you and help you understand the numbers. She's like, thank you. Thank you. And I'm like, it's not a terrible time to buy all the way around. Every situation, every city, every neighborhood is going to have a different set of numbers when it comes to weighing them out. So you're going to have to work very closely with your real estate agent, get those comparables, understand them, help them, make them understand them. Like tell that real estate agent, what does this mean? Does this mean this? Explain it to me. And if they're not willing to do that, find another real estate agent. Because I mean, you could throw somebody a CMA and go, here you go, here's the numbers. And if it could be like reading a foreign language if they don't know what they all mean. What's your thought?
Yeah, I mean, I just, the thing about the realtors though is that I have a problem sometimes when people just, oh, this guy's oh, this gal's a crappy realtor, right? I just think that, sometimes you not necessarily just find the right realtor, but find the right realtors in the right mindset at the moment, because you can deal with a great realtor, but it can be having a rough week. And maybe that they're just not ready for you. You can be dealing with an agent that maybe doesn't do a lot of deals, but for some reason they're just on the freaking ball that month. Then they're the ones for you. So don't just analyze the history of sales and all that. Like, give them a call. Where's their mindset right now? Are they ready to help you right now? I've had plenty of people call me when I'm on my ball, man, and we give amazing experience. Sometimes people call me on an off day, man, this guy sucks, right? So just, it's more than that than just, they could provide CMA right away. Like she says, if someone's going to actually take the time to talk to you and speak with you in a very clear matter, then that's the one for you. They're in the right mindset to help you.
I will say this too. I don't know if you saw this speaking of Zillow, that we talked about earlier. Zillow had this thing where they were rating people's sales. So it would look like an agent would come up and it'd say they had 3 sales when they really had sold like 36,000 or 36 houses, and people were freaking out about this. I'm not like really tapped into Zillow. They've never gotten my closed listings and sales right. So I never even put any effort into even thinking about making they're like, you have to make your profile just perfectly. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not I'm not feeding that machine.
Zillows are overlords. They're going to take over.
Well, I'm doing just fine without them.
We are.
We're doing just fine without them. Here, we have a question that comes in. A suggestion for a future topic: risk of buying a foreclosure. I'll tell you one risk that was really interesting that happened. When I had a foreclosure, we looked at it. People really loved it. We get to the inspection period and the water wasn't turned on, not uncommon. So the agent has the water turned on. We go back out there and he goes to fill up the bathtub, and it instantly clogs. And you know how they have the seal over the toilet seats? Whenever you go into foreclosures, they put the seal on it that says it's weather
Yeah,
sealed.
not open. Yeah.
Open. Well, the inspector takes it off, and he opens up the toilet lid, and it like looks kind of like gray, and there's a layer of water, but it's very gray. And he's like, oh no. And then he goes into the kitchen, and he kind of like looks under the sink and unscrews, like he's not supposed to, but he unscrewed it. Whoever lived there before dumped Quickset down the pipes, all the pipes.
Wow.
Yeah, not a happy camper. Not a happy camper. It was a short sale that didn't go through. Then it ended up being a foreclosure. They were not very happy about it, and so they took revenge.
How
So
do you do that? You got to clear out all the pipes at that point, right?
we didn't buy the house. I don't know what happened. It did eventually sell. It was about 4 or 5 months down the road, but I've seen some horrible things. I've smelled some horrible things. It happens to the best of us. Question: what do you think would be the tipping point that causes the housing market to drop, and when do you think that will be, in your opinion? The tipping point is going to be when they stop the moratoriums on mortgage forbearance. That's what the tipping point is for me. Like when they stop all this stuff with the mortgage forbearance. And, the thing is, and I know you've talked about this too, Javier, is that conventional loans don't have to state the same kind of rules as the other, the government-backed loans. So some forbearances are saying you can only do the forbearance for 3 months, and after that, it's like a balloon payment. Some of them are causing problems with people's escrows. So sometimes somebody's going to have to pay the piper. So I think once that ends, and if people aren't working, that's when the tipping point is. That's my opinion.
Well said.
What do you think?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't think I think I stopped making predictions, and I think I'm just observing. I don't know what's going to happen and when. So I'm just, what you mentioned HUD sites earlier, which it's really interesting because that's actually, I forgot to mention one of the original questions. If you check the HUD homes and just see if there's a lot of new HUD listings happening in your city, then that's definitely a sign of the tipping point or some sorts, right? So I'm just analyzing at this point and learning from you. We're learning from the best. Before I get you upset again and you text me.
Eddie, I want you to see if you can pull up. Somebody actually made a video about me.
No way.
Somebody made a video about me. Eddie, can you pull it up? See if you can find it.
Made a video about you about what?
So he didn't like my analysis of what I felt was going to be happening in the housing market. And it was funny because he started off saying that he didn't agree with me, but then as he was talking, his whole verbiage changed, and he was like, well, I do agree with this, and maybe I don't agree with this, but I agree with that. It was funny. So I was like, somebody actually, a subscriber, sent me the email, and an email, the link. And so I was like, well, if he's going to talk about me, I need to have him on here. So on the 21st of February, he's going to be on on this podcast, so we can have a discussion.
That's awesome.
I know.
I agree with you.
It's okay. I've had people that haven't agreed with me. Ray Ellen was on on here before, and we had a conversation. We didn't agree on something. And I was talking about affordable housing options for people and everything, and how it really just isn't fair how things are set up right now for people or whatever. And he just kind of laid back and goes, well, that's capitalism. I go, what? I go, I guess we're going to have to agree to disagree, because I just think that's terrible. What happened to being a human being? Like I was such in shock. I don't even remember what I said. Oh, here he is. Yep. See if you can pull it up, Eddie. See, he just talks about the housing crash, and then he breaks down my video, and he's been on YouTube for quite some time, and he did make some valid points. He didn't totally trash me, is what I'm trying to say. But I thought it was cute.
They get content from wherever they can.
Well, I just look at it this way, if you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing, So I guess that's what he did. I know you made it when somebody else makes a reaction video to your video.
Oh man, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't know how I would take that.
I should make one on yours.
Oh
Cool.
gosh.
Questions. So with the 600K loans coming in to the end of forbearance in March, do you see April being the start? Who knows if they're going to kick the can down the road again? That's
That's what
the
they
whole
keep
thing.
doing.
They just keep kicking that can down the road. So I wouldn't be honest with you to tell you that that's going to be a thing. I don't know. I really don't know. But I know that a lot of landlords, when there was that window of time between the rental moratorium, or they couldn't kick out people, they had that window of time, and a record number of people were getting kicked out of their homes and apartments because they hadn't paid rent. They got that in just in time. But some areas like Florida, they never even allowed for the rental moratorium to happen for as like soon as it was up, the second it was up, they didn't stretch it out. But like Maryland kept it the whole way through. Interesting. Here, question. What do you do if the more you are able to save, the more the prices go up and the more you have to save, and so on and so on and so on? Yeah, it's like that crystal ball thing. And I'll repeat myself and you can put in your 2 cents. I talk a lot. I'm sorry. But
No, I'm here to support you today. You talk as much as you need.
I look at it like this. You have to talk to a financial advisor. A real estate agent, in many cases, are going to tell you, yeah, let's buy, because that's their job. Let's be honest. We're here to sell houses. So talk to a financial advisor, talk to a lender. Again, their job is to sell you a loan, but they can break down like how much the payment is going to cost you. You have to weigh out the factor of, is rent going to be more than your mortgage payment? If the case is yes, rent is more than a mortgage payment, then who cares about a crash? You're still paying less than rent, so get yourself a mortgage. Just gotta weigh out your pros and cons. Yes, I understand you're trying to save down for a big nest egg. But check out how much the interest rates are for things like FHA, VA, how much is required for you to put down. Maybe you can save a little money on the back end and invest that into some GameStop stocks and make it extra money. So if you don't have to put that much money down, you may be able to save yourself a little bit more money and invest it somewhere else, which would make you even more money. What do you think?
I think having like he's worried about saving and going up. I think there's freedom in having things saved and having the ability to choose. So even if you just keep saving, prices keep going up, I think it's a blessing in disguise, because now even if you don't end up buying, you have that emergency fund or something to happen. Let's talk about my videos that I didn't realize how, you think everything's fine. You think your family's healthy. You knock on wood, nothing goes wrong. My daughter had a seizure at 1 year old that just like completely changed my world. I thought I was immune to everything like that. Right. So that just really opened my eyes to say, like, you know what, whether it's saving for a house or saving, you should always save for the worst, expect the worst. So that way you're prepared and nothing gets you by surprise. So for that person that continues to keep saving, I mean, that's great. Keep saving. Even if the prices go up, who cares? Keep saving. And then maybe you can use half of it. Instead of investing 20%, you do 5 or 10% on a house. As long as it's long term, I think you'll be fine.
I have 2 savings accounts. I have, the savings account.
What's the account number and routing number?
I'll send that to you.
I'll confirm it.
Yeah. But I have one for the Christmas fund too.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, it's just a little bit of money that I put in there. So at Christmas time, I can, shower my kids with a bunch of gifts. But it also kind of turns in, if there ends up being a lot more in there than I intended, that ends up being the vacation fund.
Boom.
Question: how do you find out the purchase history on a house without paying for the information? You don't have to pay for the information. That is 100% free. You can call any real estate agent and say, hey, I'm just looking in this area. Is it possible for you to email me a market analysis for this neighborhood? I was looking at this house. I'm not sure if I want to purchase it. I just want to look at the information for the neighborhood. You can contact any real estate agent and you can tell them, I will give you my email address, but do not harass me. I don't know if I want to use you yet. Please be mindful of my privacy. I just want this market analysis. That's it. All right. Question. Here we go. Question. What about appraisals, Kristina? Right now, it seems like almost always comes lower than the offered price. Is that show banks believe prices are overinflated or they want to be on the safe side?
I thought that was happening too, and then it was just a rough patch. I think the lenders I'm talking to, it's still a large percentage are coming in at or above value, but perhaps you're hearing you're trying to look for the, at least in Phoenix. I don't know about other markets, but I thought that was happening too until I just looked at the general picture, and nope, it's just you can have a series of bad appraisals in certain neighborhoods, but the majority still is still appraising, at least here in Arizona. I don't know about everywhere else.
Very similar here, but I will say this, there are bad appraisers, and I don't know
Oh,
about
yeah.
your
They're overworked right now. They're terrible and they're overworked. And then they're so stubborn that they'll never change their price if you fight it.
even if you give them full documentation, like literally it could be the identical house built the identical way and with the identical wood flooring and everything. And you're like, this is your comp. Why aren't you using this as your comp? You're off. And they will not change it, not for nothing. So you can have bad appraisers too. It's we have code names for them in some of our like chat walls because if you can't say their names, but they'll say, is it the guy with the first name T? I'm like, yep, that's him. Please explain if fixed rates have an effect on the housing market. Well, if you don't have a fixed rate, it affects the housing market. All you have to do is look at the market from 2006, 7, and 8, and 9, and it took 10 years to recover from that. They had something called an ARM or a balloon payment, and they were kooky loans that had all they had to do was say, well, I make $300,000 a year. That's what I make. And these mortgage lenders were writing out these loans for 300,000 when the guy was really working at the Taco Bell. He just stated that's what his income was, and they believed him. And they wrote loans, kooky loans. And then they had these balloon payments that would go all over the place, and they couldn't pay them. So yes, fixed rate is the way you want to go.
Yep.
Hi, we are first-time home buyer. Whether we should wait to buy or we should buy now, and if we should wait, how long should it be?
The classic question.
Yes, go for it.
No, you go. You go. This is your show.
I've said this question 4 times. Your turn.
Oh, okay. All right. Anytime you buy a house, people think it was peaches and cream the last 10 years. Oh, I can't wait. Even when it was a buyer's market, it was terrifying. It's always going to be terrifying to buy a house. It's always going to be unsure. People were nervous. What if people were saying the market's going to crash for a bit. When the prices were super low, there was all, instead of California buyers, quote unquote, there was Canadian buyers, quote unquote, that would be paying cash for everything. So I think you're always going to feel that nervousness, and there's always going to be an unsure time to buy. So how you combat that is by being prepared, not only mentally, but financially. So and I don't want to just say we'll do it when you're ready, but more or less make sure your stuff is together. Do you have not only your house savings, but your emergency savings ready to go? Don't buy a house if it's going to leave you with zero in the bank. Maybe a few years ago that would have been okay. Not anymore. Make sure the monthly payment is affordable. Make sure your job is secure. Just look at the whole picture. If you have your whole picture is secure, even if you lose half of your value over the next year, if you hold a long-term investment, you'll eventually get it back and make more money again, right? So just buy long-term, look at your whole picture, and if everything is making sense, then it's the right time. If it's going to leave you with no money in the bank or you're not in a position to buy, then it's not the right time.
What freaks me out, what is upsetting to me, is that I do see first-time home buyers doing some crazy stuff where they're like deciding on a whim to cash out their 401ks that they've saved for, or they've had this savings account that they've had since they were little kids and they were going to hold on to it for when they had their first baby. But they're like, well, this is for the first baby. I'll take this extra $30,000 just so I can pay for the house that it didn't appraise for. And I'll
My
give it
realtor says I'm going to get that money back in a few years.
You could. You could not.
But then you can. Yeah, exactly.
She can't guarantee that, or they cannot guarantee you will make that money back in a few years. That's insanity. Like I said, someone bought my house in 2007 And 10 years later, they bought it for 250. 10 years later, the market never recovered, and he sold it for 189 after 10 years in the Florida market. So nobody can say that. I mean, like, unless they have that secret crystal ball that we're talking about, Javier.
For me, it's a time machine. For you, it's a crystal ball.
Yes.
Everyone has their own little joke about that.
I always like I even have a thumbnail.
Next time you get that question, just be like, hold on. Okay. November 2022.
Do you remember years ago there is the Johnny Carson show, and he'd wear that like thing, and he would hold up the card and he would guess it. You don't remember this?
With Johnny Carson?
You don't remember Johnny Carson? Do you know who he is?
Uh,
He was the host of the Tonight Show before Jay Leno. I'm so much older
Jay
than
Leno's
you.
the guy with the chin, right?
Yeah. I'm so old. I'm so old.
Yeah, Tonight Show is Jimmy Fallon, and before that was yeah, I don't even know.
All right, here. If it takes $1,000 for a shopping cart of groceries, your loan is effectively appreciated. Pay it off with same funny money as a hard asset.
I've never seen this guy in my life, Johnny Carson.
He is like a genius in the Tonight Show world. I mean, like, of all the Tonight Show hosts, he is the king.
Really?
Yes. I'm not even sure if it's even funny anymore, but as a kid, I remember my mom sitting in the kitchen, like crying, laughing with her feet, because it was cold. We lived in Massachusetts, with her feet in the oven watching the Johnny Carson show after she got off work. Swami, that's it. He was a Swami who Johnny Carson imitated a Swami, you know, like, and he'd have the little he had the little whole costume on, and he would guess the title, and he'd open it up and he'd make a joke out of it. It was funny.
I'll take your word for it. Can we answer MK that says huge waste of time? Thanks. You guys don't acknowledge the negative ones. They're fun.
Huge waste of time. Thanks.
No problem, man. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, you know.
Wasting times.
Yeah. Watching you live from South America. We're looking to pay cash for a home in the foothills of Gold Country, California this summer. When we move back, should we wait or go for it? Again, what's your financial situation look like? Yeah. You know, like, you really need to sit down with a financial advisor. That's what I should title this. Should you buy? Talk to a financial advisor.
Yeah, we need to know the whole picture, man.
Yeah. You know, like, how long do you plan on staying there? California is pretty expensive. You got to find out how much does it go down and up. So get with a good lender.
Maybe he's a billionaire with billions in cash, and then, yeah, go ahead, buy cash, you know. But if you barely have enough for the house, and hold up, people say I'm a baby. I'm 28, guys. I'm not that young.
I love my subscribers. Look at this. Red Light Mine says, okay, feel free to skip this and watch something else, right? That is the joy of YouTube. Thank you, Red Light. Love my subscribers. Thank you for advice on selling before the market drop and what to look for. You're welcome. We did really well.
I still love you guys. They always get positive when you call them out.
That's all right. But you know, we've been in an hour, and it is Super Bowl Sunday. I don't want to keep everybody waiting, but after this airs, you know, you want to drop a question, you're more than welcome to. And if you're looking for a real estate agent in your area that's not in Phoenix, Arizona, like Javier, or in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, like myself, please email me. I literally every evening sit down with my computer and email back every single person that emails me. It's info@KristinaSmallhorn.com. If you're looking for a real estate agent in your area, I'm personally connected with over 3,000 agents. I have a real estate group that these agents are a part of. They're all also YouTubers as well. And I will connect you with one of them that will be able to help you with your real estate needs. Javier, is there anything that you want to add?
I'm releasing my new album next week. That's my diss track on Kristina Smallhorn, saying I'm sorry for making a housing market video, and it's the title has all fire on it. So if you guys want to check it out, it's soundcloud.com/Javier Vidana. What else? We got
I bribed Javier to come on here today.
No, he didn't. So the reason I came on is because she messaged me the message that made me cry right away, just all caps, like 10 paragraphs. What the F, man? Just over and over. I'm just kidding. No, she's like, hey, did you like what? Do you have a problem with me? I'm like, excuse me, what?
If I'm going to be honest, this is what I write. Did I pee in your Cheerios? But I didn't use the word pee.
He was like, and I was like, excuse me, what? And then, well, I made a video where I call out a lot of people who make housing market videos, and I mentioned, hey, you put fires in the thumbnail, and she was like, what the F? You talking about me? That video's like, no, that video's for realtors that are doing it to get leads. And then I'm sorry, but I shouldn't have been this vague. What can I do to make it better? So I would not talk about Smallhorn. She's one of the good ones on YouTube. And I say that rarely. So please know, if you watch my videos, you know that's a rare compliment. She's not only a really good YouTuber, but one of my, even I've met her for a little bit. She's a really close friend, and I trust her with a lot of personal information that she could leak and ruin my career. So then again, all the crap we talk, it's just, yeah.
I'll PayPal you later this evening for that comment. Thank you. It's one last question before we go. Kyle says, Florida is increasing minimum wage gradually to $15 an hour by 2026. Wouldn't I want to purchase the next couple years before increasing anymore? It's not a bad thought process. I haven't given that much thought, Kyle.
Money's inflating there, right?
Yeah.
But if it's inflating, why don't you buy it now so you could take advantage of it?
Right. That's what he's saying. Because the value of it later. Yeah. Well, he's right. You're right.
No, don't buy with an idea that it could make sense, sure. But if you would have asked me in late 2019 if it made sense to buy, I would have been like, yeah, whatever, right? You can never expect what's going to happen in the future. You have no idea what's going to happen. I don't think you should buy a home with like, oh, maybe down the road it's going to pay off. Buy it because everything else makes sense. And if that happens, great. If it doesn't, then you're still happy, I just think it's risky to make that kind of investment just because you think something's going to happen.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Thank you, Javier. I appreciate you.
Is that right? Am I right? Did I put you past that one?
You passed the exam.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for
me late at night, threatening to do all, just messing with me and doing all this stuff.
No. Thank you, everyone. Have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Eat lots of wings, and make sure you just stay in small groups of your own family. Stay healthy and safe. We're going to end.